Welcome, everybody. My name is Dawn Bennett with Touch Remedies, here with another Touch Conversation. Today, I have joining us Travis and Dawn Sims, who are friends of mine from the cities in this area. So thank you for joining me again. So Travis is the owner of AGC, Accelerated Global Connections, and he had me on speaking about professional and how one touches as an entrepreneurial. And Travis, you do a lot of networking. It's really your specialty. You've got your book out on networking now in the new normal. Tell me a little bit about how you interact with touch and physical contact. And Dawn, of course, I know you do the networking as well. So I'd love to hear how it is for both of you, how it differs for the two of you, and how you interact with touch.
Sure. Thank you, Dawn, for having us. We're glad to help out. And, touching and networking for me, and now I have to use my hands. touching and networking for me has always been, I was taught, I think as a kid, it's that firm handshake, that represents business. And that's what the politicians do. That's what the preachers do. That's what the businessmen do, is that firm handshake. And then I came to Minnesota. Minnesota seems to be a very hugging state. And so that was a little new to me, a little bit different for me. Had to get a little used to that. But I've come to crave and enjoy that interaction with people. Just that touch means a lot in networking, I think, in furthering the relationship.
Mm-hmm. Great. Anything to add, Dawn? I see you thinking over there.
I'm a toucher. I'm a hugger. I think it makes me more real, like a real person when I'm out networking. I'm pretty much the same in a public place versus as well as private. I mean, if I know you, I'm like, oh my gosh. And I mean, obviously not like right now with COVID because everybody's a little weird about it, but I'm a hugger. I touch all the time. He always hits me, like if we go to a restaurant, I'll be like, oh, thanks. So like the waiter or whatever, he's like, you can't touch. And so it's all the time.
Dawn's someone I think that loves everyone until you give her a reason not to, and she loves you from the very beginning. So
lovely. Great.
Where you wrong.
So when you do networking, and Dawn, you're touching, and Travis, you're doing the handshakes and such, do you ever find that you are more cautious with different genders or different age groups, or people that maybe you've seen from in different situations that you know from different areas? How does that impact how you connect with people?
I don't. I hug women, men. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. I think it's a little bit different standard for men to hug a woman and vice versa. It shouldn't be, but there's just so many gray areas that you just have to be kind of like on guard. Mm-hmm. But I think for a woman to, hi, it's just kind of, I know he has issues with hugging or touching women just because you never know.
Unfortunately, in the world that puts a need or an awareness of how you should guard yourself professionally, and it's a shame too, because it would never come from a bad place. It only come from a good place, and wanting to make people feel comfortable, and especially in networking. And I see people, and I think too, it comes from, are you meeting them for the first time? Are you seeing them on the third or fourth time? Is this a longtime friend? It makes a big difference. I'm definitely more at ease and relaxed with people that I know, people that I've seen a lot. It might translate from I'm meeting you for the first time is a handshake, and then later becomes, oh, hey, how are you doing? It's great to see you. Give you a big hug type of environment. And I would prefer to have an environment where we could all be that way, or we could all get to that spot in our relationship where hugs are okay. But I also too, I'll add to that, I try to be very aware of body language. and just watching how when people meet you, do they come in or do they stay back?
So weird when
I do.
People hug you. You're like so stiff. You're just like,
that is true.
He's so
that is true.
like very standoffish.
With women especially, I'll do the air hug and kind of pat the back.
It's so awkward.
And with guys, it's the big, pat on the back type of hug. So they're very different for sure.
Yeah. Dawn, I'm curious, because you go in for hugs so often, do you ever find, now you're talking about Travis keeping a little bit of air, do you find that a lot of men that maybe you don't know as well do that to you as well? Where you come in and they're like, whoa.
I mean, I don't generally hug like random people. Like like he said, if it's our first meeting, it's like, oh, hey, nice to meet you. But if I've seen you several times, specifically because when I network at his events, you see those same faces like all the time. And so then you're like, oh, but I'm not just going to go randomly tackle a new face and give them a hug. But when I hug men, they seem to, it's just, if you know my personality and you know me, you know that's just what I do. It's not, I don't think I go about it creepy or it's very like, mom, come here type.
Honestly, it's probably my overcautiousness than anything. I would guess, and since Dawn's saying that most men probably don't have that same, I don't know what the right word is, that same caution around hugging that I do. But I spent a big portion of my life professionally working in schools and churches and around children. And I was always very careful in that way. Like, you always asked to use the staff restroom rather than the public restroom. And you had to really be, cautious around how you interact with kids. That I've carried that into how I interact with women. So.
Okay. And do you think that served you, or do you did mention that maybe you're a little more hesitant or a little more cautious?
It's honestly probably, if I had to look at it, it's probably taking a little bit longer for me to get to the relationship that way, because I am being a little bit more caution. However, it's maybe have, prevented anyone from ever being, the caution is that no one will ever be able to say, well, Travis, hugged me inappropriately or, anything of that nature. And I'm using hug, touched me inappropriately. We'll say that, and I've just try to always maintain a professional atmosphere. So.
Yeah. So when you work with kids, did you ever have a kid just come up and like, be so excited about what you were doing, they just gave you like a giant hug? And how did you interact with that?
The same air hugs. And then I'm immediately looking for the parents and going, oh, they saw me at school. I was the magician at your school. And I was a professional magician for over 10 years. And I had to start understanding, because first it would catch me completely off guard. Like, why are all these kids want to hug me? They always come up and they want to hug me. And we teach at young ages for children, go hug Santa Claus, go hug the Easter Bunny, go hug. You teach them to hug at an early age. It's not till later that you say, oh, wait a minute, strangers and this and that. And so, but I always found myself looking for the parent going, because they have to be wondering, where do they know this guy from?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And you're magical like Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny as well, right?
Yes.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Well, and truthfully, it's like, not that I'm relating myself to that celebrity, but when you're a kid, that is the celebrities you meet. It's your teachers. It's your principal. It's Santa Claus. It's those big figures in your life. Those people that you aspire to be or want to be around.
Great. Well, anything else? Any closing ideas, comments, different things that you think people should look out for when they are networking professionally, and how they can interact with physical contact that you found helpful?
I think you can gauge a lot by someone's body language, or just how even they're talking to you. I think you can kind of see who you can be a little more lax with versus maybe just, I'm just going to give you a handshake. You seem a little, I mean, I think it all comes down to someone's personality, quite honestly. So
I've found myself asking permission sometimes as well. Do you hug? Do you handshake? What do you like best? And that for someone that is a hugger, someone that's okay with, like, oh yeah, I'm a big hugger, and then it just opens it up. But I also think there's a bigger connection there. At least it feels that way for me. So yeah, asking permission, I think is a good approach in a professional atmosphere, especially if you're only meeting them the first time or the first few times.
I like that phrase. What do you like best?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really kind of allows the door to open for whatever idea. Yeah. Well, great. Well, thank you so much for joining me. Once again, this is Travis and Dawn Sims with AGC and Dawn Bennett with Touch Remedies. Thanks again for coming, and I will see you at our next event.
All right. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.